You see, nobody ever teaches you how to be in a successful relationship. You're supposed to just kind of muddle your way through and hope that eventually you'll get it right. Now, considering that love is as significant in your life as, say, your career, can you imagine what would happen if we approached work like that? You want to be a neurosurgeon? You don't have to learn how. Try a little of this, try a little of that. You'll figure it out eventually. So where do most of us get our ideas about relationships? Well, for me, at first, it was books. And a lot of the books I read earlier, don't judge me, seemed to indicate that all you needed to do was find your soulmate. Now, even at a young age, this struck me as a monstrously terrible idea. One person in the entire world, and you have to find them? Consider, he might be a rice farmer in China. Even worse, by some comic miscalculation by the universe, he might already be 95 years old. So much like you, I decided, no, the idea of soulmate is far too unreliable. So I turned to my next go-to place, the movies. Which, if you're Indian, means Bollywood. Let me tell you, I almost named this talk, Blame It on Bollywood. I grew up on a steady diet of Bollywood. And in Bollywood, this is how relationships work. Boy meets girl. Insert mass choreographed dance scene with at least 6 outfit changes. Girl refuses. Insert mass choreographed dance scene with at least 6 outfit changes. Boy convinces girl. Insert mass choreograph, you get the idea. They fall in love. Insert mass choreographed dance scene with bees dipping into flowers, flames of the candle licking at each other, and my absolute favorite, the train passing through the tunnel. It's a really good idea. I didn't rely on Bollywood to learn about everything. Finally, they go to parents. Parents resist. Insert incredibly dramatic argument scene with threats of disownment and many, 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 many tears whilst makeup stays miraculously intact. They accept. Insert mass choreographed dance scene with many, many outfit changes, and they live happily ever after. Aha! All you had to do was find love. That's it. And have some mass choreographed dance scenes. And love is such a beautiful story, isn't it? But how do you know when you're in love? Love is so deceptive. Infatuation notoriously disguises itself as love. But I figure, once you're past that stage where you're behaving like a 3-year-old high on a sugar rush, and still don't mind that he eats meat with his mouth wide open, you're approaching love territory. Now, this is where things are going to get a little personal. I've been in love over the last 12 years twice. The first was whilst I lived in Bungoma. He was a dreadlocked Tanzanian with a smooth tongue and that sweet Sanifu Swahili. He was also very good looking. At first, it was romanticized and possibly even a little fetishized. I always have trouble with that word. You know, black-brown love in our society is still so taboo. But in our little bubble, we learned each other's ways. And over time, our love marinated and grew into proper, grown-up, real love. We were going to stick our finger up at society and show them that love can conquer race. In the end, the cultural differences were too big to ignore. And we had very different ideas of what we expected from each other. Love wasn't enough. The second time happened first. He was my first kiss. It happened at the coast. He was visiting from Ireland. And remember that song? Summer lovin' had me a blast. Summer lovin' happened so fast. I met a boy cute as can be. Exactly, he was. And when he left, we stayed in touch. First it was letters. I would run to my mother's room, steal her perfume, spray the letter silly so that I could seem sophisticated, obviously. And then it was emails, ICQ. How many of you remember ICQ? I've just aged myself there. And then phone calls. And before long, our lives were inextricably woven into each other's. We decided to meet a decade later in the same place that we shared our first kiss. And the love was reignited. He moved to Kenya, and on the foothills of Laikipia, he proposed. I know, he did things right. And I said yes. I was intoxicated by how beautiful of a love story we had. And we were in love. I should have been suspicious at the wedding. Hang on. You all don't know where I'm going with this. Indian weddings, aside from being 6 days long and full of drama, are strewn with rituals around bringing luck. So before the whole wedding ceremony can start, the brother of the bride has to go to the mosque, fetch water, and then he must make his way to the home for the bride to bathe in that water. But the entire journey, he's not allowed to utter a single word or make a single sound from his mouth, otherwise it's bad luck. When she leaves her maternal home to her marital home, she must walk away throwing rice over her shoulder. And she's not allowed to look back until she reaches her marital home. Otherwise, it's bad luck. And most important of all, she gets given a lemon with a needle pierced through the skin 2 weeks before the wedding. She must keep that lemon with her at all times for the next 2 weeks. When she's going shopping, when she's going to work, when she's going into the shower, even in bed. It seems our ancestors knew something that we didn't. Perhaps love wasn't going to be enough. Perhaps we needed a healthy dose of luck to really keep the relationship alive. And sure enough, over time, the feelings of love started to fade. All of a sudden, it was as if we had very different ideas of where we wanted our lives to go. And love just wasn't enough. I lost the lemon, by the way. True story. I told my mom and she just gave me this. Really? The one thing you had to do? Keep the lemon and you lost the lemon? When my marriage was falling apart, I went to go see my granny. She has this shock of silver hair and her eyebrows have clean fallen off her face, which gives her this wonderful veneer of wisdom. And as she's gotten older, she's completely lost the filter of propriety. It's wonderful. She says the most delightfully inappropriate things at the most wonderfully inappropriate of times. I lay in bed with her and I asked her, Mama, were you in love with Daddy when you got married to him? And she gave me that look. You know that look when old people look at young people like you've asked them the most ridiculous question on the face of the earth? And she said, Ama pyar masu lena deni. Which means, I promise you, what's love got to do with it? My grandparents had an arranged marriage. They had no choice. Being together had very little to do with how they felt about each other. Having been successfully and happily married for 70 years, this got me thinking. Maybe they were onto something. Love is so flighty. It kind of sweeps in, does stuff to you and then disappears. How can you trust a thing so flaky as love to keep a relationship together? Maybe all you did was simply decide that you're going to be with this person, regardless of how in love you feel. So what's love got to do with it? Maybe very little. It can take the horse to the well. It may even get the horse to take a couple of sips. Stop. But can it keep the horse going to the same well every day for the rest of that horse's life? I didn't think through that analogy very well. I'm just about to get profound here. I don't think so. I don't think it can. And I was going to end my speech right there, in that very undramatic manner. But it kept bothering me. We as humanity, as mankind, place so much emphasis on love. We always have since the beginning of time across the world. How could we have gotten it so spectacularly wrong? My aha moment came sitting in traffic. Which, let's face it, if you live in Nairobi, hardly surprising, considering how much time we spend in traffic. This bright, bedazzled, golden Range Rover sped past me. Have you guys seen that thing? It is monstrous. I realized there are two types of love. The first is the feeling of love. It happens to you. It's like you have no control over it. It sweeps you up, does all sorts of weird things inside you, and then, if it feels like, just goes poof, into the air. The second is the act of love. The act of love is how you behave with that person in every moment, in every interaction, every day. The act of love is choosing that person. It is completely in your control and completely in your power. So what does love have to do with it? Everything. My granny whispered to me the other day. She said, I do love your granddad. It seems that the act of love can inspire the feeling of love. But perhaps more profound than that, it is the act of love that keeps the feeling of love alive.